Yeah, I gave her.
I guess it started. Okay.
Meh.
Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 228 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live anti-government podcast in Canada. We're recording on May 14th, 2020. My name is Andrew. Joining me tonight is Gavin and Dave.
We'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. We do now like a whole feedback episode, so yeah, totally. We appreciate, we appreciate your feedback, positive or negative.
It's usually pretty entertaining.
We appreciate that you've sent it, not necessarily the contents of it, but do that. We really, really like it. That and a version of the show is available on iTunes and Stitcher and a bunch of other places. Wherever your favorite podcast can be found, we'll probably be there too.
You should check the podcast out on social media. Gavin and I have been making use of the Insta Shizzle and the Book of Faces recently. We have many, many likes. I was pleasantly surprised to see we had 1,776 Instagram likes the other day, and I was like, heck yeah, America.
Nice. We need your help to support the show. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 an episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist and buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com's homepage and follow the link on the right. And now,
just one note on the t-shirts, and I do want to thank people for ordering t-shirts, and I know we are a little light on stock, and I am talking to our good friend of Tim's Good T-shirts. If you're buying a t-shirt, don't select flat rate shipping. Just get it regular t-shirt shipping, because that's an untracked letter mail thing, so it costs like $5. The tracked stuff starts at $10, and it's adding $10 of shipping to a $20 t-shirt. It seems silly. So just get the untracked, and
you do you though.
Let's hope Canada Post doesn't lose your shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go into
we're
what
a little
are we
slow,
drinking?
but still better than UPS.
Better is subjective.
Yeah.
All right, it's time for What Are We Drinking? That's the part of the show where I ask what you're drinking. I'm going to start with Gavin. Gavin, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Jack Daniels and Coke Zero once again this evening. My, standard anti-government beverage of choice.
Dave, what are you drinking?
And my pandemic drink of choice, it's Crown and Coke Zero.
I feel like I didn't get the whiskey memo. I'm drinking hopped lager from Shakespeare Brewing. It's like a lager with a lot of hops in it.
Oh, so it tastes like a skunk farted in your mouth.
But like the skunk drank a lot of Coors first.
Well, that's okay then.
Much better then.
I don't know. It's a thing. So with that, I've done exactly no show prep because I've been writing letters all week. So Gavin's in charge.
Scary, because my show prep is only marginally more. But we're going to kick it off. We're going to talk about the shithead in Nova Scotia a little bit because some things have come out since then. Not the stuff that you'd expect, like what firearms were used or anything like that, but some other stuff. We're more or less going to be referencing an article that Maclean's put out, which some of the stuff we brought up in our initial sort of go through on this story, but they've agreed on a lot of things with us and raised a few other questions. So kind of where the RCMP dropped the ball. Shocking, I know.
Wait,
so
the RCMP dropped the ball?
Yeah,
is that the same RCMP that like loses guns?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. They are known for dropping shotguns and grenade launchers and the ball. Yeah.
Many balls.
Yeah. In or about their face, but these things happen. So I guess the Maclean's article goes through a couple of points, so we'll kind of go through them quickly. So the first part where they failed is. Did the RCMP properly investigate reports that the killer assaulted his partner and had illegal guns? It's come forth that several complaints about this person have been lodged in the past, where people have commented on his, penchant for violence. Apparently, he was a known alcoholic, and they told the RCMP that he had guns that he didn't have a license for.
Yeah, and coming from a reputable place too. I believe the one person that saw the firearms and reported the firearms was a ex-military.
Yeah, I mean, a former neighbor has made that comment. I mean, there's a number of people apparently that have come forward and all said, "Hey, we told you guys that this guy was a little bit of a nut job and had guns." The one neighbor even apparently moved away because they feared that this person would be violent. So
apparently, the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess contrary to what Blair and Trudeau think, there are red flag laws already in place in this country, as we've mentioned before, and they're supposed to work where somebody calls exactly about a thing like this, except that the RCMP or the local constabulary is supposed to visit the person and determine whether they do or don't have illegal firearms and what their mental state is and whether they're a danger to themselves or others. Except that none of that seems to have happened in this case. So, adding more of the same to the regulations isn't really going to help anybody, right?
Yeah, from the sounds of it, especially on the, the complaint of illegal firearms, I think most of these people knew that this person wasn't allowed to own firearms, and like zero follow up on the complaints whatsoever. Like no visits, no follow up questions, not a call, not a look in, check in, not like nothing. Just carry on.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess they determined that he didn't have an FAC, so there was no way he could possibly have firearms. So why bother investigating any further, right?
Pretty much.
I wonder if that speaks to what's going to be happening with the coming gun confiscations or lack thereof, like the total lack of follow up and enforcement in this case.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
you're forgotten about until you're forgotten about, and then when they catch you, they'll throw the book at you, most likely.
But who knows? Like, I mean, one can hope that they would spend as much or even less effort than they did looking into this gentleman as they do looking into us, who are not crazy, at least not this kind of crazy. I guess the second point they raise is, did the RCMP wait too long before entering the crime scene?
I'm just going to go ahead and say yes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the same problem that happened down in the States. It's like, it's your job to get in there. Get in there.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing since the Polytechnic incident that saved lives is the police actually going into the crime scene with the active shooter and doing something about it, instead of establishing a perimeter and all of that stuff and letting the crazy person continue to move about freely and be crazy.
Well, if they want to be the only ones that get to carry all the fun stuff, the carbines and whatnot, then you need to be using them. Like, you can't. There's no sitting back and waiting. Get in there. You're supposed to have it.
Part of the thing that's come out with this is they've established a better timeline. So the original 911 call has now been established as coming in at 10:01, and then 25 minutes later, the first RCMP officer arrives in the neighborhood where the complaint originated from.
Yeah, but I mean,
I guess they kept the neighborhood locked down until sometime around midnight when they finally started to knock on doors.
And then he got away by driving through a field.
Yeah. I mean, if you get like the force showing up should be proportional to what the call is, but I've seen a whole bunch of cops showing up to the scene of a crime or a potential crime for something very minor. So you would think that when somebody calls and says hey, there's a crazy person on the loose shooting up the place, that they would send every available officer all at once, immediately.
I get that, but I also wonder how many RCMP officers are available in rural Nova Scotia compared to the entire Toronto Police Service. It's not more than 30 minutes away.
Fair point.
The other thing is, though, is they were offered help from the Truro and Portapique office police departments, which summed over 40 to 60 officers.
And that's one of the points that they kind of get to a little bit later on. But whatever they did send locally, they didn't get there fast enough, at least. according to McLean's and many other people.
Yeah.
You know, one of the other things that we've discussed is why didn't the RCMP issue an alert to warn the public? I mean, I guess they tweeted about it, but, you know, I don't exactly follow the RCMP on the Twitter.
I mean, if the RCMP tweets about a potential mass killing and Bill Blair tweets about shotgun laws, I guess Twitter is how we legislate in this country?
Yeah,
Twitter is the source of how the country operates.
Yeah.
There's
I
one.
guess we got to get on board with that now until there's a better platform.
I really don't want to be considered a twit.
No.
I have a Twitter account, but I don't have the app, and I don't go on it.
Yeah.
But the excuse that they give the excuse that the police give that is mentioned in the article about, oh, we don't want to say that someone who's pretending to be a police officer is going around shooting up the place, you know, it will obviously could be detrimental to the rest of the police forces. It's like, well, you just reword the warning. Just say there's an active shooter.
Stay
in your fucking house.
Home. Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not rocket appliances.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need to flog a dead horse on that one, but I mean, it's obvious that they could have done something and they failed on that one. I mean, Twitter is not the appropriate place for that. At least certainly not your primary source of getting information out there to the public.
Rural East Coast? Like, we're going to go to Twitter?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
The other thing they ask about is what happened at the fire hall.
Was it
fire
blue
hall
on blue? Was I right?
Yeah, we were both right. That's what we were both saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's confirmed in the article? That's awesome.
Well, no,
I mean,
no,
that's not awesome, but I mean, like, I'm glad that we speculated correctly.
Yeah. Two guys rolled up, saw an officer, and unloaded, and then drove off. The SIU, I believe, is involved.
The term that you're looking for is saw someone who appeared to be dressed like an officer, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
It's
it was
like
actually the guy that was supposed to be guarding the firehouse because there were people that were stationing there.
Yeah. The article says they apparently did not warn the Pictou County officer, as they would have been trained to do, and put dozens of bullets into the building.
And then
missing him. Nobody got shot. Yeah, drove away. Just got back in the car, drove away. And missed everything. So, like,
I mean, that is the most bizarre.
Didn't speak, just started opening fire, and the officer dove between the vehicles and started screaming on the radio to stop, and they took off.
I don't know what's worse, them not hitting a single thing, or them just shooting belligerently, with the cop-on-cop violence.
Yeah. There's a whole lot that incident alone has so much that in it. Like, never mind the rest of the events of the evening. That one event in and of itself is bizarre, and there are a bajillion questions that should probably be answered, but I don't think any of us really want to hear it because we'd just be angry.
Angry and flabbergasted that these are the people that are protecting us.
Yeah.
And making the rules.
Yeah, and then the article goes on to ask, like, why didn't the RCMP use other police forces to keep the killer from traveling? Because, like I said, yes, where they are, I mean, the detachment's probably very small, but in the surrounding area,
it literally takes 2 cars to block off a 2-lane highway. That's it. And then you've blocked off an egress.
Yeah, I mean, so it's starting to look more and more and more like a shit show, right? And a lot of that has to do with the RCMP and their failure to act, or their failure to act appropriately.
I was going to say it was because they were a shit show, but but
I mean, I think they've been exposed for the complacency that's probably been going on for years out there.
Yeah.
And probably been going on in a lot of rural areas that rely on the RCMP.
Yeah.
As it's like corner gas, but for realsies.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I guess we never questioned, because all the other stuff seems to be stuff that we brought up to some capacity or not. But why wasn't Heidi Stevenson's cruiser equipped with a push bar? I guess it's come out that like their cars collided, and that's how she was killed.
Yeah, airbags deployed or something, rendering her car useless, basically.
I find that very suspicious that an RCMP cruiser wouldn't have a push bar.
Apparently,
Yeah.
none of them do in
But like that,
Nova Scotia.
I mean, that should be something that's spec'd, right? Like this is your RCMP cruiser. They buy them as a thing, and they get the same package treatment, right? Like,
well, I mean, not just that, but I mean, like, I would think that a push bar would be like a standard piece of equipment. I'm trying to think if I've seen an RCMP cruiser recently, because they're using those newish Ford Tauruses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's super weird.
Yeah, like that's just bizarre. Like, apparently his replica car had one, but.
So a quick Google, none of them except the first 2 pictures of real ones don't have it. Third one does, and then several after do not have the push bar.
Weird.
What did you search? Just RCMP car or Nova Scotia RCMP?
RCMP cruiser. The first one that shows up is the replica car, and everyone after that, I assume, is the.
But I'm pretty sure like even every like local cop car has a push bar on all of them now, like all the new ones. I mean, previously it was kind of a hit or miss thing, but I think like, it's just standard on everything now. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't hang out with enough cop cars, I guess, to really know for sure. But I find that odd that an RCMP car would not be equipped with one, especially in a rural area where you're probably likely to hit a deer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have thought that a rural service would have had that just for the deer and moose factor.
The common sense factor.
That's not like the squirrel and moose factor, though. Moose and squirrel is a different thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot.
No, I think they're moving away from push bars.
Weird.
I just searched Toronto, no push bars in any of the. Sorry, like 12 pictures down.
What about the OPP? I think it's more of a highway patrol thing.
I think it's probably time to move on and not be autistic about push bars.
Yeah, but that's what we do best. Yeah, I guess that kind of leaves that where it is. But yeah, it raises some questions that obviously have not been answered. The next article is about some government spending.
Oh,
so,
our government is spending money?
Yeah.
This is an entirely unexpected turn of events.
Yeah, so the Canadian military is set to get new sniper rifles.
Okay, that is actually an entirely unexpected turn of events. The government is spending money on the military?
Yeah.
The amount of money they're paying
this
for
might be a
rifles
first in 5 years.
Yeah, so the Liberal government is spending $8.5 million on purchasing the 272 rifles and spare parts.
I'm sorry, what?
So, yeah.
yeah, do the math. The math is ridiculous. It's like
$31,000 and change per rifle.
I hope these are the numbers they are going to be using for the buyback.
Okay, sorry. Tell me about the rifles.
I won't be so angry if this is the kind of money we get on the buyback. But yeah, I guess they've got the C-20 will replace the C-8 as the new personal defense weapon for the Canadian Forces sniper teams, confirmed Department of National Defense spokesman Andre Ann Poulin. The government will also launch a competition sometime this month to buy 229 bolt-action sniper rifles. So they haven't determined what they're going to be spending on that, but I am hoping that KDEX tells them to go pound sand.
Yeah.
As does every other Canadian manufacturer.
The current generation Canadian sniper rifles are made by Prairie Gunworks, right? The Coyote and the Timberwolf.
I hope they also tell them to go pound sand or charge them like triple what they should actually be worth.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Colt Canada might have done that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let me get this right. So the C-20s are the Colt C-20s that were already in the catalog. So it's a 7.62, like 308 caliber, semi-automatic, AR-10, like a large frame AR type rifle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and they're going to be $30,000 per rifle.
And for the parts.
I feel like you might as well just
I
triple
mean,
your order.
I'm no mathematologist here, but like, what's a Stag 10 go for? Like $2,000?
$650 for the receiver set.
Well, yeah, but
yeah,
like
okay.
these are going to be like complete,
Complete.
Yeah.
You're still
So-
under $2,000 easily.
and then you're going to throw a glass and a suppressor. So that's probably another $2,000 for a Schmidt and Bender or some other like quality scope.
Yeah.
And then whatever a suppressor costs in the Canadian government market, so probably $20,000 because there's no competition.
Yeah.
So like $5,000 a rifle, realistically.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would probably say you're looking at $5,000 plus parts and service over the lifetime of the rifles, and I don't know what the lifespan of these rifles are going to be. How long did we have the C6s that just went on, and they just spent like $3 million retrofitting all the C6s, right? Like all the machine guns. We had a story about that earlier this year where they were refitting all the machine guns, and that was like a couple $1 million, and those are like 30-year-old guns.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's also saying federal government then awarded a $6.5 million contract on top of all of this previous stuff to Colt Canada to produce 262 additional C20 rifles, associated equipment, and spare parts. Apparently, no announcement was made on the deal because they didn't want to piss off a bunch of people, given that they've just banned a bunch of stuff.
Oh, they banned a rifle that was remarkably similar to this rifle that they're going to spend $30,000 a piece on.
Yeah,
Really?
If I get $30,000 a piece, I
yeah,
won't be so mad.
yeah. I won't be so mad. Although, I mean, we're just going to be spending our tax dollars to get them back. But
Whatever. I've never been on EI. I'm not the one milking the system. I earn this.
yeah, but we're going to be the ones paying for it. Yeah.
No, I'm okay with it. I just want to be able to shoot it. Just give me one.
Yeah, just give me the gun. Yeah. No, that'd be fine.
And the glass and the suppressor.
Yeah.
Does it include the glass?
I mean, I would
assume that's in parts, yeah.
I don't know. I could see that being a completely different procurement situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I would hope for $30,000 it comes with like the complete kit right down to the carry case and the magazines.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would have just used the old stuff. Like, what's like optics? Do they really age that much?
Yes and no.
It depends what they're using.
Well,
I mean-
and I think that part of this is if they're going to go to a real caliber, a battle rifle caliber. The C8s in 5.56, the C20s are going to be in 7.62. So
They'll need
if
different
they're
glass.
ballistically calibrated glass, potentially going to a different piece of glass,
What are they
I could see
currently?
some.
What rifle is currently carried by the people in this role that would be carrying these new rifles?
C8s,
Yeah.
Which isn't that just the regular?
Yeah.
M4.
So they're carrying the Elcan, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay. Like, there's no designated marksman loadout in the Canadian Armed Forces. I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Not as far as I'm aware, no.
Yeah, you use your Elcan. You put the
With your
horizontal line
half
with
MOA
the half
clicks.
vertical line on the thing that you want to hit.
In the IDF, they issue out ACOGs to designated marksmen. That's why I asked. Regular forces either get used to get the Meprolite 21, I think it is, and officers got the Mars. It's also made by Meprolite, but it's the Mars. It looks sort of like an EOTech almost, sort of comparatively, whatever. That's not really
It's
what it looks like.
interesting that officers would get a slightly different optic. Like, I understand a designated marksman getting a different optic because their skill level with the system allows them to be better with it, and giving them better equipment allows them to be even better.
Right.
But just like, I'm an officer. Like,
So I'm guessing at this, but the Mars does come with I believe an IR laser along with a regular laser. So it's like I did see it used in theater as a way of pointing out targets or something to look out for. So it's useful in that sense.
So the officer would designate a target, and everyone else would just like,
keep an eye on it.
let her rip. Yeah. All right. Fair. That makes sense. I mean, a laser pointer probably would have been easier, but like whatever.
So that's what. Yeah.
In the same line with budgets, although this time for once it's the Liberals not spending money but cutting money, but in an odd place, especially in contrast to them spending a whole lot of money on a bunch of guns. Trudeau Liberals have discontinued funding for a Harper area initiative, which was created in services for women exploited by the sex trade, leaving many charities that were funded through the program with an uncertain future. So, I mean, contrary to, it seems, Trudeau's statements on May 1st about, taking care of the vulnerable people in Canada, he seems to be doing the exact opposite of that.
So you're saying that the Prime Minister found something new to be dishonest about?
Yes.
Well, that's a surprise. I really thought we would have run out of things by now.
Yeah. So apparently this initiative provided money for charities, nonprofits, and First Nations to develop and continue programs to assist exploited women seeking to safely exit the sex trade and provide them with the critical resources necessary to build a life. Which basically sounds like it's perfect for Trudeau to pump money into.
Yeah, I was going to say, this does not seem like they're trying to help disadvantaged people like they normally would be. Did the Liberals hate sex workers now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This would be the least angry thing I would get mad about him throwing our money at, to be honest.
Yeah. So
at least we'd be staying in country.
The London Abused Women's Centre has already announced it will be having to shutter its anti-sex trafficking program as a result of the funding loss.
Whoa, the program serviced 3,100 prostitutes, and this is just in London? London?
Yeah.
What the F, man?
Streets are rough.
Yeah.
I guess. Southwestern Ontario, what's wrong with you?
It's university town. They got to pay for those tuition fees somehow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm an expert, but I'm pretty sure in London you go down to the police station and you hang a left, and Flesh Gordon's is right next door, and I'm sure that they have allegedly had university students working there, paying their way through school.
Well,
allegedly.
But we've got to make sure. It's not
like I ever checked to see if they got their diploma.
Yeah. But we got to make sure.
You have seen them in the cafeteria.
Yeah, all the vulnerable sector people have got to be looked after, but we're going to just pull the funding from all of them. It's okay. They'll be fine.
Well, so I mean, I'm not an expert here, but like, we didn't follow through on the Truth and Reconciliation thing. We didn't follow through on the Clean Water for Reserves, and now we're pulling funding for sexually abused women. This, wow, I love the Liberal government.
Yeah. But, like fact-based policy, transparency, et cetera,
Feminism.
Feminism in action.
I thought he was a feminist. Like, I'm so confused. Like, he keeps doing everything possible to prove that he's not one.
Something middle class. Him. Yeah. But oddly enough, with all of this money being pulled, the federal deficit is still likely to be higher than $252 billion. Parliamentary Budget Officer says.
What? Okay. It's likely to... Does the Parliamentary Budget Officer not know what the deficit is?
Well, I guess it's a rapidly moving target with Trudeau just throwing money away and tweeting it away.
You get 800 million. You get 800 million.
So I wonder, since he has such bad follow through, and I really did wonder about this previously, when he tweets something like that, is there any way to check if he actually sent the money out?
I imagine if he didn't, there would be equal or greater outrage to the tweet that if he didn't, right? Like Trevor Noah would be on the phone being like, bro,
where's my money?
I'll slam you on my TV show if you don't send the money. The Parliamentary Budget Office is also saying that it's possible that we could hit 1 trillion because of the pandemic relief spending.
I'm pretty sure you have to be more like Dr. Evil when you do that. $1 trillion.
Well, let me go get my gray
Bajillion.
suit and pinky ring.
$1 trillion deficit.
Yeah, we're going to need to start making up numbers to be able to say how big the deficit is.
We're getting
But,
into
like,
U.S. kind of debt.
$1 trillion worth of debt. That's insane.
You remember when the budget was going to balance itself?
Is this how this works? Is this the budget
I
balancing
believe
itself?
that's how that works.
Is it going to hit that number and then it's going to like bounce back up?
Yeah, I think that's how
It's
that
like
works.
one of those, like, you remember when you were like a kid on a seesaw and you hit the bottom and then like your friend went and you traded back and forth?
Yeah.
So, like, if it hits the bottom hard enough, is it going to bounce back up?
Andrew, you've already stated on the show that you're not a math magician. Just let the experts worry about it, okay?
I think
the experts don't even seem to effing know, man. Like,
well, that's
they don't know
because
whether to say billion or trillion.
Well, because the number that's big enough hasn't been invented yet. That's the problem.
Wait. This is a great thing to know. Debt is still relatively cheap. We anticipate the debt charges will not go up, which is surprising and counterintuitive.
you're telling
we're
me.
still paying for this.
Yeah. No, it's okay though. Like
But we're not
eventually when we're
paying
gonna
as
You
much
can't
for
fucking
it?
put like a fucking cherry on a piece of shit. Like it's still a piece of shit.
yeah,
there
but
are
it's
people
got,
out there who
but
think-
it's got a cherry on it, Dave.
There are people who think that is how you run a business. Never mind what's called. What? It's so cheap. Why don't you just borrow against this thing? No.
Well, that
To start off a business, maybe, but to run your business constantly in debt, I don't think that's.
so
Andrew
again,
disagrees with me.
No, we've established that I'm not a math magician.
Yeah.
Oh no, we've lost Gavin. Maybe I am a math magician. Gavin's disappeared. No, so like I am not an expert, but how much did it cost us to fund like World War II?
I don't know.
Because I feel like if you converted like 1945 dollars to today's dollars, it's not 252 billion. I feel like it was less.
Probably.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing is ridiculous. Like that. Like $1 trillion. Like that's.
You just there's no foresight. It's like a teenager, spending
I mean,
with
I guess
on a checkbook. There's no repercussions being thought of whatsoever. Like
the only way we have any hope of anything coming from this is that we just like bankrupt ourselves sooner rather than later. And then we don't have to worry about paying any of this back because it's just been bankrupted and we can just start all over. But like if it just gets dragged on, like inflation is going to be ridiculous because they're, money printer go burr. And that's all they're doing now. It's just printing money.
Yeah, but apparently when money printer goes burr, it doesn't cost anything now.
Yeah, except for
It's
inflation.
counterintuitive.
It's going to cost us $1 trillion for a friggin' bag of milk. That's right.
Yeah.
To all of our American listeners and those of you that live in the few provinces that don't do it, we have milk in bags.
it's great.
It's
Yeah. Try it.
counterintuitive, like the
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
So,
But-
to answer your question, Andrew, the war production was almost $10 billion in money back then, which is approximately $100 billion today.
Right. So that was my point. So 252 billion of today's dollars is more than 100 billion of 1940 dollars. So we have spent more this year, and it's the middle of May, than we did
in the war.
during World War II.
That's like 6 years because we were
spent
there from the
more
beginning.
in 5 months than we did during World War
A 5-year war.
II.
Or how long were
So,
we actually in there for?
6 year,
I,
technically.
yeah.
39.
Yeah, because Commonwealth and stuff. The Brits got involved in 39.
yeah.
Okay. So
And I think I have a bit of an inkling as to how we've managed to do this.
Is it the salt guy meme where Justin's just like sprinkling the money on all of the other?
Well, yes, and one of those little sprinkles is the $600 million that we've committed to global vaccination efforts.
look how much that helped us.
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, I haven't got the
I'm
flu this
kidding.
year.
Yeah.
No, because if you did, it would just count as COVID. It's fine.
So yeah, no. Canada, despite the fact that our deficit is going to be $1 trillion, Canada is pledging 600 million because, like, what's another 600 billion?
Well,
right?
I was just gonna say like that kind of black pilly, and I don't mean to be like Debbie Downer here, but I mean, what's another $1 billion?
Yeah.
Like at this
It's a
point,
race to the bottom.
To quote Hillary Clinton, what difference does it make?
Yeah. We're pledging $600 million to a global public-private partnership that works on vaccination campaigns in the world's poorest countries. I don't know. We're giving money away.
Some sort of nonsense. Well, I mean, yes, clearly that part is nonsense, but like that whole initiative sounds like made up nonsense. This sounds like we're giving money to third world despot dictators.
Yeah, because immunization abroad protects Canadians. That's a quote here from International Development Minister Karina Gould.
That's probably not untrue, but you know what else would protect Canadians? Not having 6 flights from China arriving in Canada today.
Or having the Canadians immunized before they go away if they so choose to do so. If they don't, that's on them.
Yeah, I just think maybe like closing some borders would be the way to go. Yeah. Not having... I think the count today was 6 flights, 3 from Shanghai and 3 from Hong Kong.
But I thought the borders were closed.
Well,
it doesn't.
So
China,
bro.
But yeah. Andrew, China's not reporting any cases of COVID-19.
Yes, and I trust the Chinese Communist Party almost as much as I trust the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
Well, they definitely trust each other.
Yeah, no, we are apparently providing $475 million in direct contributions and $125 million to the International Finance Facility for Immunization.
That sounds made up.
No.
That's some guy in his basement with a website.
Yeah, which sells bonds against long-term donor contributions to accelerate funding for Gavi needs.
Sounds like an awful lot of
those are. I mean, this Gavi needs $125 million. So like, just send your money to me.
Yeah,
I'll give you whatever bonds you want.
You know what? I will do you one better, Gavin. They don't even have to send me any money. They just have to stop taking mine to redistribute to other people that need vaccines in wherever the hell they're giving them vaccines this week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we don't help people. But also,
no, but charity begins at home, bro.
Well, and like there should be like some tangible benefit to us and the assistance that we give, right? Like, like I'm not saying don't give money to another country, but like maybe it should have some sort of benefit. Well, yeah, but like if there's some benefit to us, like we get all of their resources or like have a favorable trade agreement or some benefit to this, right?
But
I get it then. But
I see
there's
your point,
there for us to take.
Right, well, that's kind of my thing. Is like I would rather we just like fixed our own problems. Like let's address
exactly right.
Reserves and clean drinking water and northern living allowances. And
there's a direct benefit to Canadians. So yes, absolutely, let's do that. And if there was a direct benefit, or even like a somewhat indirect benefit, but still something that's measurable, then absolutely, like let's do this, right? Like. But just like, man, here's a bunch of money that maybe potentially at some point affect a few Canadians, but it's $600 million. No thanks. Too much. Yeah, that could do so much more here. Yeah. And more shocking, unbelievable news. Apparently, farmers are struggling to hire workers who are collecting their CERB money.
What?
So people would rather stay at home and collect $2,000 a month than go work in farming?
I know I would.
Yeah.
If I was short-sighted. I happen to think even if I won the lottery, I'd still go to work every day. But that's just me and my crazy money theory.
Yeah, but yeah, you maybe wouldn't do the same job. You'd maybe do one that pays a little less and that you like doing a little bit more.
Right.
Like farming. I think I would actually just take up farming.
Yeah.
Because if you want a job that doesn't pay much, man, do I have news for you about working on a farm.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no, they're I guess they're having
with
trouble.
A sack of beans.
Having people come to work.
Farmers are the only people that pay full price when they buy it and wholesale when they sell it. They're the only people that are paying taxes on both ends.
Yeah. It is and like on paper, you've got money because you've got like land and equipment and all kinds of stuff. But when it comes to like liquid cash, you are dirt poor. Like it is bad.
Yeah, you
got
literally
lots
got
of
dirt. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
What a gong show. So did they say why? Is it because it's millennials and they're lazy?
I mean, it's a lot of things. Like it's just people are. I mean, you know, it's like the don't feed the ducks theory, right? Why would you go to work when you can get as much money or more sitting on your butt doing nothing?
Well, okay. I'm going to bust out the calculator and be an intern for a minute. Let's assume that you get your $2,000 a month, and that was the equivalent of a full-time 40-hour-a-week job, which I imagine a lot of people that are getting that $2,000 a month, that's not.
Yeah, but they're also getting their EI on top of it that you got to factor in too, right?
Well, okay,
you weren't
what's
allowed
the
to collect
maximum
both.
contribution for? Oh, can you? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're allowed to collect both.
So
Depending
what's the
on
maximum
your situation.
What's the maximum you can get for EI? Another $2,000 a month?
I think so, yeah. So like $4,000 a month.
It's like $580 a week or something like that.
Yeah. So you're looking like $4,000 a month.
Okay, well, easy math. Let's say it is $4,000 a month, because that makes it simple, and I don't have to round with whatever Dave's is. And let's assume that they don't do any at-source deductions, which I'm sure that they don't do for EI, because I know that I know for EI you get at-source deductions, and I assume that you would for CERB, but who knows? So if you were to work full time, that's the equivalent of $25 an hour before tax. That is, I mean, that is more than minimum wage. I can see why that would be an attractive option.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
In
why
fact, I'm beginning to wonder if there's no at-source deductions or taxes. Like, why do I still work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, whoever would have thought that would have happened?
Are you saying we predicted this?
I mean, when it comes to being right, there are two sources that have been proven time and time again to be correct: The Simpsons and us. I'm just saying.
If genius like forethought.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we're giving unemployed people $25 an hour.
Why not?
Don't be a bigot.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's just my white privilege speaking out, but like, seriously, why am I working and paying taxes? Because, yeah. $25 an hour to sit at home and not do anything?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're getting less than that on a regular day.
Instead of like working a min-wage job in the heat and cold and breaking your back, digging holes.
It smells like cow shit.
Yeah.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
You start ignoring it. You don't smell it after a while.
Yeah, but then all your stuff
Yeah,
smells
but-
like it. So then anybody that's not around it
Yeah, but
smells it
not
on you.
not smelling like manure and getting like almost double. Sit on my
Yeah.
couch.
You mean I don't have to smell like poo and I get more money? Pfft, sign me up.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
I am very annoyed about this whole
Socialist light?
CRB minimum wage. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like I feel like this
Communism
is
light.
the
We're
whole.
giving it a go. We're giving it the old.
We
the old
had
spin
this
around the
argument
block.
about the whole guaranteed minimum income thing before, the mincome and the guaranteed.
Yeah.
What were they calling it before? Guaranteed income?
Living wage or no? What was the
No, that was $15
Mincome
an hour.
and Mincome and what I can't remember.
We all work for a living. It's really hard to remember these things. We don't ever dream of such things.
I know,
Yeah.
but like honestly, at $4,000 a month before I don't know what deductions are, but like $4,000 a month before deductions is like, I mean, I could get a lot done in a day if I didn't have to go do my day job.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. This may or may not be related, but apparently Ontario's deficit to quadruple to $41 billion due to the coronavirus costs. I don't know if that's related to the previous article or any of the others, but there's that.
I mean, it's pretty. I feel like that's, we can figure that out in a generation. It's attainable in
I don't
Ontario.
know.
Yeah. $41 billion is a lot, but I also don't feel like that is a massive increase in the Ontario deficit. I don't know what it was
Well, they said
under
it's
the
supposed
Wing
to
government, but
they're said it's supposed to quadruple. So, yeah, that's a good question. What was it under the?
I feel like under the Wing government, it was almost $20 billion.
Says
Oh, yeah.
2009, 2010, and 92, 93.
When did Ford come into
Deficits were
power?
19.3 billion. So it's 19.3 in 2009, 2010, and 12.4 billion in 1992, 93.
But like, I mean, this is the problem with this whole thing, right? Like, so like Ford was finally getting a handle on it by making those unpopular cuts that he was making that everyone was complaining about. I'm looking at you, teachers, and then this happens, right? Which basically fucks him. And you know, like, even if the guy does the best job that he can, which, I mean, to me, he's doing a pretty darn good job right now, for the most part, they're going to say, see, you made all these cuts and our deficit got bigger. It's like, well, I mean, imagine.
Yeah, but apparently we're still getting EI and CRB benefits, so what?
Yeah,
Are you under
imagine
a
what it
rock
would
for
have
the
been.
past 2 months?
Well, imagine what it would have been like if Wind had been in charge in Ontario during this whole thing. I mean,
I bet you it'd be
God.
easily over 100
Could
billion.
you imagine all the popcorn?
When did she become? When did Ford get voted in again? 2016.
not soon enough.
No, last year was his first full year, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I think the election was in 18.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
We
But
should we should probably wrap up and remind people about rapid fire feedback. If you want to get onto the feedback show, that's planned to be next week. I don't know. See if we get a thumbs up from anybody on the panel next week. We're aiming for.
Yeah.
All right. Sure.
Yeah.
Send us your feedback so that we can read it on the show. Also, reminders about petitions. I am a bad intern, and I did not put the newest petition on the show notes, but I will fix that before the show goes out. So reminders to go sign the new ones, the big one, the popular one, the most signed e-petition in the history of e-petitions, one of the most signed petitions in the history of our country. E2574. This has been sponsored by Michelle Rempel, and it is at 194,000 signatures. And it should be over 2 million. There's no reason for it to be less than 2 million.
Yeah, I mean, 10% of the gun-owning population is, I mean, the most we've ever banded together, but still pathetic.
Right? So tell your gun clubs to do something about this. Tell your gun-owning friends to do something about this. Tell that guy that hunts once a year to go do something about this. Because, sorry, bro, this OIC, it affects your hunting guns. Because there's a 460 Weatherby in my future that I'd really like to actually be able to go shoot something with.
Well, under the new, I guess, data that's come out on that over 10,000 joules and what is capable, because that's the wording of the Ordering Council, a firearm capable of reaching that. There's a lot more than the 460 that's on there. Allegedly, I may have a few more items now that are capable of 10,000, so I've got more on the prohib list. So thanks, guys.
Well,
You're
as
really
Terry
keeping people safe. My single shot, like no magazine, single shot elephant gun is now prohibited.
I almost fucking popped my shoulder out.
As Terry said, all fungus are edible. Some fungus are only edible once. All guns are capable of doing that. Just some only are capable of doing it once.
It's true. Other reminders, petition 2576. This is the Todd Doherty, same position. Tell the government to stop doing dumb things with our guns. And then as of May the 12th, we have another one. And I'm honestly not sure if this is malicious or incompetent at this point, but Garnett Genius sponsored one. He's the MP Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan, asking the government to immediately repeal the Ordering Council and actually account for what the costs of this this prohibition would be in dollars and cents, which I'm super on board with. And again, it has some numbers in the OIC, and it talks about how many jobs and how many dollars worth of businesses are affected, but it doesn't talk about the financial impact of what the prohibition would be and what the enforcement costs are going to be. And it doesn't do anything about actually stopping criminals from getting guns. So that's 2582. Go sign that one while you're at it.
Yeah, I would love for all three of those to get,
equal amount.
Buttload, which would then make the top 4 petitions all firearms related. And if other people want to have some malicious petition writing, I highly encourage this. just because it would be humorous to see them have to like answer the same question over and over and over and over again in Parliament.
I mean, they already do that. They just use the same answer for every question.
Yeah, but if everyone takes it from a slightly different angle, they will have to have a slightly different boilerplate response to it, and it will be funny, if nothing else.
I think you put too much trust in the government, Gavin.
I don't have any trust in them.
On the list of people that I think trust the government and Gavin, that is a very separate set of lists.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's funny. It's like an oxymoron.
Exactly.
I mean, they're going to have to table an official response if it gets X number of signatures. So I say we keep petitioning them. I mean, it's more time that, if nothing else, it acts kind of like a filibuster where like they have to do this so that takes away from something else they could be doing. So like,
one day closer to the election, baby.
Yeah.
All right, let's. I almost forgot. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. The timing it didn't work this week because we were doing this kind of last minute on a Thursday night, and Rod said he already had plans. I don't know, something about BC being very pretty.
Yeah.
Couldn't do both at the same time. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and free.
I think he pressed the wrong button. Somebody's got to press stop.
We can't do that. Andrew's got to log back in and do that.